I want to start today with this. Our wishes have been answered. Finally, we don't have to worry about watching Justin Fields being subjected to constant hits and mistakes and horrible play by the players around him, right? No offensive line, no wide receivers, no weapons, no nothing. How are we supposed to evaluate Justin Fields? How could we even put a point on what he did in 2022? It's pretty difficult to me, and I could understand people's trepidation. I saw a lot of responses today talking about how we still can't evaluate Fields, which is partially true. I just have to say that I'm very happy that the Bears finally made the correct decision in sitting him for the quote-unquote rest of this season, one game left. I think this was long overdue, and we talked about this on this program a couple of weeks ago. I went on the Tape Number Lives a couple of weeks ago as well. We talked about what would it take for Justin Fields to sit for the rest of the year. Is it a good move? Now, the consensus was there would be learning, right? There would be progress in playing in these meaningful type games. How would he respond to all this adversity? How's his body going to hold up taking multiple hits? Will the Bears play hard for him despite not playing for anything? Answer to all that stuff was a negative. And the Bears kept losing, even though they're trying to tank, but still, Justin Fields did okay, but last week really was a train wreck, to say the least. And his Bears team, especially last week and in the weeks prior, did not play as hard for him as you thought he would. They didn't. Offensive line was horrible. Pass rush killed Fields. Wide receivers dropping footballs like usual. There's no wide receivers. At one point, Simba Webster was the Bears' number one officially due to tons of injuries and poor play. This was a train wreck for Fields, and I think everybody could agree at this point it was probably not smart to play him these past couple of games. He had no wide receivers, even. Again, Simba Webster's your number one. Bayless Jones, who was benched a couple of weeks ago, now is thrusted into a number one, number two role because there's nobody. Bears had nothing. I don't think that was beneficial to Justin Fields' development. Do you? Do you think it makes sense to play Fields in that sort of situation? Do you think it's right for him to be subjected to constant hits and pressure and ineffective play around him? Now, he's not cleared from anything either. He's had his issues. We know that. He threw that pick last week with no pass rush. Pretty pathetic. Fumbled the ball a little bit more. He's gotten hit and beaten up. This is not just a team-wide issue. Justin Fields is part of this to blame, but I would say more than anything, this was not a beneficial stretch for Fields. And I find it pretty funny because the narrative is starting to shift again when it comes to Justin Fields. I mean, a lot of you said B or C on our poll as we grade and evaluate what Justin Fields did in 2022. Very few of you said A. You know, I find that pretty interesting because at the beginning of this season, when we talked about preseason expectations, when we talked about what to get out of Justin Fields this year, I think everybody shot for the stars. Everybody said he'd be an MVP candidate. Everybody said he's going to be this great quarterback. Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of people have been backtracking recently. A lot of people have been worried. Can a running quarterback of this caliber last for the Bears with no offensive line, no weapons? He's constantly getting hit. Most sacked quarterback in the NFL. Most sacked quarterback in Bears history, by the way, in a single season. There's a record Justin Fields broke, unfortunately. Now, we talked about how Fields almost broke the rushing record. He won't now, but he did rank the most sacks in a season by Bears quarterback. Jay Cutler was the previous record holder. Now it's Justin Fields. When we evaluate Fields' season, when we think about what he did this year, I'm going to go out on a limb and say B minus C plus performance. And I don't think that's a controversial opinion. And here's why. Fields had his moments. Fields got better as a player, certainly this year. But I have to say, I think he underwhelmed a bit. I don't think he was what we all expected him to be this year. Better than last year, better than the first couple of games of this season, but I didn't expect this. I expected a little bit more. And I think everybody expected a little bit more. And there have been conversations already about the Bears trading in the draft, potentially trading Fields. I've seen people comment that and people propose that. I think it's just a stark difference from where we were week 1 of the season when it came to Justin Fields. For some reason, the court of public opinion is beginning to shift and change. And that concerns me a bit. We're seeing a change in the perception of Justin Fields across this city. Even other people I respect in media have started to question whether or not he's really the guy. And if you questioned that week 2 or week 3, you would have gotten killed. But today, there are significant questions that still need answers. What are the Bears going to do to help him? If they do help him, and he still doesn't perform, or he performs like this year, next year, who's it going to be on? Who's going to be blamed? I think the Bears are committed to him. I think Fields has earned getting a starting spot next year, no question. But how much longer will he be the quarterback for the Bears? You know, Bears fans have an issue with attachment. I do too. Once they see a quarterback, they don't like to give him up. I did the same, and I still do the same with Mitch Trubisky. Be wicked, you know it. I'm all about Mitch Trubisky. I'm always following what he does because I feel like he was unjustly run out of town. Some of you who are older fans have attachments to other quarterbacks. Some of you still defend Rex Grossman or Kyle Orton, Jay Cutler, Jim Harbaugh, Jim McMahon. Over the years, Bears fans develop affinities with okay QBs because they've never seen anything great. They've never seen a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers. They've just seen decent quarterbacks, better defenses and run games, but quarterbacks who are likable, have good personalities, and they latch on with the fan bases. So people get attached. My question is this: are we too attached to Justin Fields? Are our feelings getting in the way of the truth about his game? Just a question. I don't know the answer. We won't know till probably next year, when the Bears actually spend money, draft good players, sign free agents, and build a team around him that's going to be competitive and not a bunch of scrubs. We're going to know by next year. We're going to know whether or not our eyes are deceiving us or our hearts are deceiving us versus the truth about Fields and about what he brings to the table. But it's a good exercise to think about. It's a good exercise to ponder as we get close to this offseason. Are we too attached? Are we too married to this idea? Are we too scared about it? What do we think about Justin Fields, really? I mean, if we look at performance, I thought he did fine. I'd say, again, B-, C+, and I think that's a fair evaluation. I don't think it was A. I don't think he was an A+ quarterback this year. No way. Led the NFL in fumbles. I don't care if he just lost 2, led the NFL in fumbles. Fumbles lost, only 2. But still, there are things he needs to work on, whether or not you want to hear it. The Bears have to develop him more as a passer. The Bears have to find a way to get more passing out of him, because this running experiment, as much as I like it, as much as it's entertaining to see, it's obvious as well he's getting hurt. He's getting beat up. His body can't handle it. I love running quarterbacks. I always have. Even before it became popular in the NFL, I respected them a lot because I knew the torture that their bodies went through. And I knew how hard it was to be a running quarterback, to be an effective passer, throwing the ball down the field 40, 50 yards, and get running at top speeds and being essentially a running back quarterback hybrid. It's difficult. So I respect what Justin Fields has done. Second best rushing quarterback in NFL history in one season. That's a fact. Almost took out Lamar Jackson's record. There's so many positives. But we haven't seen it all, have we? Is that cause for concern? I think it should be. And I think this Bears team really has to take a long, hard look at what they have this offseason and make a push. Right? The Bears have to make a push and decide that they want to care about their quarterback, because I'll tell you what, it seems like it's always the same pattern in Chicago. It's top-tier quarterback, likable guy, rookie, turning into bad team, no support, being run out of town. I don't want the same for Justin Fields. But I also know the Bears are known for being quarterback breakers, and there have been times in the past in which the Bears have seen good quarterbacks, decent guys, get stunted because of bad coaching, too, and bad players and a bad environment. Ryan Poles has to spend money this offseason and do something to help out Justin Fields and draft somebody, too. If not, we're going to see regression. We might see him stunt. We're not going to see what we want to see out of him, what we imagined that we'd see from day one. I'm just saying there's cause for concern here. And we have to be careful as fans and as media members to be unbiased and put our emotions, or at least try to put them, at the door. Bears fans have always had an affinity with quarterbacks. Bears fans have always gotten too attached to them because they've never seen a great one. Will Justin Fields be that one to break the mold? Maybe. I don't know yet. But I do know this. We have to evaluate and critique fairly. We have to look at a season, look at what the Bears are, and then evaluate what's going to happen next year. And if Ryan Poles spends money and Justin Fields is still playing like this today, we may have a problem. We need to see Justin Fields do more. We need to see a better team around him. It's not one way or the other. I think it's both. I think it's a 50-50 effort. 11 picks, 15 fumbles, 2 lost, so still 13 turnovers by himself. Hey guys, that's something we have to think about. That's something that we should be considering right now. I'm not saying Justin Fields is bad. I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm not saying he's not the guy for the Bears, but what I am saying is this. The Bears have to be very careful about how they're going to build around him next year, and Justin Fields himself has to do a good job at learning this offseason and being able to fit in with this team and their environment. I want to take a look at some of your comments on this topic before we move to our next one. Aaron, 15 fumbles, 11 interceptions, 26 turnovers alone. Have to work on improving better ball security and decision-making. Exactly. Couldn't agree more. Now, technically, 26 turnovers, well, he only lost 2 fumbles. Still, those 15 fumbles could have easily been 15 fumbles lost. And there shouldn't be 15 fumbles in general. He has to work on ball security. Interceptions, 11, that's not horrible, but it's high up there. You could blame the wide receiving, the lack of protection at the offensive line, the ability to have to throw the football super quick because he has no protection, but still, not the best number either. Justin Fields is the guy we just need to surround him with talent now. If it doesn't work out, then we have a problem. That's right, Ahmad. We do have a problem. He needs talent to help him. Ancient Astronaut says this year the coaching staff and the players got a pass because of the rebuild. If we go 3-14 again in 2023, coaches are getting run out of talent. In fact, I'll say this. If the Bears are not contending for a playoff spot next year, I think there will be some change. And that's fair to say. We've given them some patience, right? We've given them the benefit of the doubt and said, you know what, you can suck this year, but now you got a number 1 overall pick. $120+ billion in cap space. Supposedly the answer at quarterback. Next year, you better have a plan ready. You better have a team ready to at least go 9-8, 10-7, and contend. I'm not saying they have to make the wild card, but they better be in the race the last couple of weeks of the season, in my opinion. That has to happen. Just desirable, I agree, way too early, but next year if they get the weapons we think he should have, then yeah, a lot of truths in a lot of areas will come to pass. Mike Diesel 3, he was not a running QB in college, which is true. He can and will be a better passer when he gets a line that will give him some time and quality wide receivers. And be wicked, I'm still questioning Matt Eberflus's coaching decision to keep him in the game against the Lions. And Nick Richard Thompson, sitting Fields, is an intelligent move. I think all of that I can agree with. Sitting Fields is certainly intelligent. That's the way we got to keep it going for this Bears team. Fields got hurt his hip already, and now you're in a situation where you don't want any more injuries to happen to him. He's the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. Sit him for the last game of the season. That means absolutely nothing. Even if Fields played, right? He would not win. And the Bears aren't winning that game.